value from success, growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Ted Dixon, CEO and co-founder of InkResearch.ca. He invented the Inc. Canadian Insider Index, which is used by the Horizons Canadian Insider Index ETF, a 2017 and 2018 fund data Fund Grade A Plus award winner. His website, CanadianInsider.com. Welcome back to the show, Ted.
Jim, it's a pleasure to be back, and hello to everyone tuning in.
Well, we still don't know what the final outcome of the U.S. presidential election is, but you pointed out one of the few clear winners was cannabis. What's the story there?
Well, just looking at the results of some of the what they call initiatives down in the United States, where the states can put different referendums on the ballot, let people decide whether they want to go ahead with certain initiatives, and marijuana legalization in various forms was on a number of them. And as of sort of midday Vancouver time, it looks like at least 5 states have passed some form of legalization. So they would join another 11 states that already have adopted legal pot, and so the industry is making step-by-step inroads into the U.S. So that was some progress for the industry. It's not a slam dunk, in terms of a green wave. There was no sort of pot green wave because there was only a certain amount of states that are looking into this, but it's gaining more and more acceptance, and even in even like for example, Mississippi was one of the states that apparently passed medical marijuana an initiative. So it seems to be cutting across different socioeconomic and even political lines. So the trend is pretty clear. And, so that's helping, that's helped some, U.S. cannabis stocks, today. We've been following, the cannabis group, in our, newsletters. If people want to go to CanadianInsider.com and look at the Canadian Insider Insights letter. In October, we covered the U.S. cannabis space. You can get some ideas there. And it's a free newsletter, by the way. Our members, we email it to them, but if you're not a member, you can just go to the website and click on it and take a look at it. So, so that was, the market was generally up today, in some sort of, either relief rally or positioning rally. We'll see if that sticks. But, at least, in the cannabis side, there's a little bit of traction there. I think it's this isn't a bullet train to nationwide legalization in the U.S. Like it is in Canada, but the train's heading in the right direction for the industry. This is going to take some time, and we'll have to see if what happens at the White House. As we speak, Joe Biden's ahead here, and as we're taping this, that could still flip if Donald Trump picks up Nevada and Pennsylvania. But even though the Democrats will not get the Senate, so they won't be able to sort of ram through any major pot decriminalization reforms easily. Doesn't mean they can't do it. It won't be easy, but they can at least, if Biden wins the presidency, they can appoint, the people in the administration who are marijuana friendly, as opposed to sort of like a Jeff Sessions type in the Justice Department who, was making all sorts of intimidating noises about the cannabis industry. So even by, appointing a cannabis friendly sort of justice, head of the Justice Department, that, so another step in the right direction. So, I would say the cannabis industry was, marijuana industry was one of the clear winners of November the 3rd. And well, at the White House, so we may have to wait until Friday to find out, or at least later today.
Now, what kind of opportunities for investors does this promote? And because it's not a federal law, it's state by state. Again, are you allowed to transport marijuana legally across state borders?
Well, right. So that's the problem. It is a state by state. So it's kind of like, if this story from ABC News is correct, and I interpreted right, now we're up to 16 states, so it's like 16 Canadas, right? Like they're all different sizes, but yeah, there's 16 different jurisdictions. Each one has to be serviced individually, and that has obviously some commercial challenges, but it is what it is. It will evolve over time. So people have to look at their investments accordingly, look at which companies are best suited for that environment, and look at it on a fundamental basis in terms of do they have the cost structure to be able to operate on in these state by state basis, not being able to sort of have the economies of scale of the huge market. So, and we've covered some of that in our reports and on our Inc. Ultra Money platform, what to look for. But in general, it's certainly a space to keep an eye on. But I'd be very surprised if we saw the kind of sort of bubbling up of U.S. cannabis stocks like we saw in Canada. But yeah, that being said, we still have the Fed printing money. They're still doing these helicopter drops of money, and you never know where that money is going to flow, where the liquidity is going to flow, But, I think it's going to be a much more sort of modest ride here, where you've got to, do your homework, find the stocks that are, well positioned in their markets. And so take some homework to do. It's not just going to be a case of, all the boats rising here. Certainly, there is no blue wave to raise all the boats, and so it's going to be one company at a time.
We'll have more with Ted Dixon right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Ted Dixon. Ted, the Republicans might lose the White House, but they're going to retain the Senate. What does that mean for gold?
Right. So in our October gold report, we updated our precious metals outlook in terms of the various main potential U.S. election outcomes between the White House and the Senate. And in our view, the most bullish outcome for the precious metals group would be President Trump back in the White House and with a Democratic-controlled Senate, that is one of the combinations that is not going to happen. I think that's safe to say, because the Democrats failed in their attempts to take control of the Senate. Only because I think that would be the most sort of spend-happy combination possible, where you have Donald Trump is willing to juice the economy through more deficit spending, infrastructure or the like, and it's tended to be the Republican Senate that has been sort of a check on that, and that looks like we're going to have a Republican Senate. Question is, do we have Donald Trump as the president or Joe Biden? And right now, as we're doing the recording, Joe Biden is ahead, and if that were the case, I think that the medium term to, sort of 6 month outlook for gold is 50-50, for gold stocks is sort of 50-50. It doesn't really strike me as this is going to be a great environment to speculate in gold and precious metals on the mining side. Now, what I think it'll take for gold to really get going here is, if things get bogged down, this is what we call the gridlock scenario, and the economy starts to falter, then there's going to be pressure on Washington to finally pass a stimulus. So the problem with the Democratic White House and a Republican Senate is probably going to take a lot of time to get a stimulus package through, and I think that's what's required to really get this reflation trade going again and helping the gold price keep moving. So in the absence of that, I think gold can do okay, but how much money will be will flow into the junior miners and the mining stocks? We'll have to see. Our mining indicator is not, it's not, when I say indicator, it's our gold indicator, which looks at insider buying and selling in the mining group. It's not overly inspiring. It's okay. It's okay for the longer term. Right now, it's not signaling any major turning points. We'll take another look at it on the weekend and later on in the month. But I think it's going to be a bit of a tough slog here for the mining group until we get a little bit more clarity on what's going to happen on the fiscal side. Now, I know, that there's a widespread belief that gold's going to go up no matter what because governments have to spend. And while I am sympathetic with that over the next 2 years, I think you have to be patient in the sense that it's going to require a bit of time here to see how the dynamics in Washington work out. Yes, the Fed will be there. Yes, the Fed will be printing money. But as we saw under Obama and Bernanke, just because the Fed prints money doesn't mean gold necessarily goes up. It went up initially when they started QE, but then it tanked. And it tanked, when they were doing the QE at the end, when they were just focusing on bonds, and it just really didn't help the gold price. So we'll have to see, what the Fed does, and if the Fed goes into sort of like Bernanke style QE mode, where they're focusing all on the long end and the short end is kind of let to go, we'll just have to see how it works out. So I know, over the next 6 months, next few months, if Joe Biden wins the White House, and we have the the GOP in the Senate, I'd just be a little careful on anticipating big moves in the gold miners until we get a little bit more clarity about what's coming down the pipe and what we can expect on terms of fiscal stimulus. So that may come sooner than later. Maybe Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, will strike a deal with Donald Trump in that lame duck session. We'll have to see. But until we get some clarity on that, I think you just have to be a bit cautious there.
We'll have more with Ted Dixon right after this.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Ted Dixon. Ted, can energy stocks hold their October lows, or will they dip even more?
Well, that's what we're watching very closely, because energy is affected, yes, by the election outcome in a sense that, Trump policy will be quite different than Biden policies, but in the near term, it's probably affected as, even more by the economic reaction with respect to COVID-19. And what I mean by that is how people are reacting to COVID-19. So it's not a question of lockdowns versus no lockdowns. I know there's a narrative out there, well, all you have to do is open up the economy and everything's going to be great, for the economy. Well, not if people are scared of the coronavirus, right? So at the end of the day, consumers got to get in the car to go to the mall to buy stuff, to really have the economy moving. It's up to consumers to get out there and spend, around the world. And if they're afraid of the coronavirus, it really doesn't matter what governments do, whether they lock down or don't lock down, right? So, baby boomers, older people, people with disposable income, right? If they decide they're just going to stay home, regardless of whether there's a lockdown or not, the economy's going to stall, right? Or potentially stall. Okay, that's not a prediction, but, it's a fear. It's a risk. And what are we looking for to gauge that risk? We're looking at energy stocks because they are the most economy sensitive group. And yes, I know there's a whole supply side glut story and OPEC but leave that aside for a moment. Let's look at the demand side because that's also a critical factor. And if we see Canadian energy stocks such as the TSX Capped Energy Index ETF, that's the XEG, if it can hold its October low, then maybe it's setting up here. Maybe energy is anticipating better times ahead, a better winter than expected because of whatever reason, vaccines, people just learning to deal with the virus better, learning to deal with the risks better, having more confidence that they can deal with the risk. We don't know, but if energy can hold its lows here, that would be very constructive for not only the energy sector, but the whole inflation trade and the Canadian market in particular, because like I said, energy is the most economy-sensitive sector. The Canadian market is a very economy-sensitive group. You think of all the sort of polymetallic miners, copper, zinc, nickel, all, those miners, a humming economy will help them. And, part of it is the China equation, right? So yes, we have a COVID problem in North America in terms of the headlines, okay? I'm not trying to make a statement, whether it's a public health risk or not a public health risk. I'm talking about market risk, and the risk is how it affects people's behavior. Okay, so we have that risk in North America and Europe, but China's a different story, and Asia's a different story. How's that playing out? The energy sector can help tell us. And if the energy sector starts to move higher, that'll also be positive because this is a seasonally weak period traditionally for energy. So maybe the energy's ahead of the game this year. It topped out in June. One theory that we're working with is energy is already priced in this fall COVID wave. And now it's trying to, I think, look ahead to the spring and the late winter. And what is it going to tell us about that? So let's keep an eye on energy. Let's see if it can hold its October lows.
Usually every spring we have a refinery fire or explosion or three. This year I noticed we didn't, but then they had all those hurricanes roll right through Refinery Alley there in Louisiana, two major ones. How does that affect supplies, or is the world so awash in oil and gasoline that knocking out a few refineries for 6 weeks doesn't matter anymore?
Yeah, it's interesting that those types of things tend to affect the natural gas price a lot more. In my experience now, I stand to be corrected than the oil price. But do they affect the stocks? No, I don't think so. Not for any prolonged investable period. The inventory levels, though, are something that people watch. So if it affects those. But, generally speaking, I think you've got to deal with the longer trends. I think who gets into the White House does matter here. And I think it's counterintuitive. Well, there's this sort of narrative that Joe Biden is bad for oil and gas and that Donald Trump is good for oil and gas. Depends what perspective you're looking at. If you're looking at more supply, yes, Donald Trump is very good because he's pro-development of the oil industry, which is great for consumers and their cars. But it's not necessarily great for shareholders, especially Canadian equity holders in oil and gas. And you just have to look at the last few years. No, I'm not blaming it all on Donald Trump, not at all. But with all the shale oil that's come out of the U.S., that started, I believe, under Obama, and that Trump was really supportive of it. It meant more supply. Canadian producers had to compete with that. If Joe Biden slows that down, while at the same time allowing the Trans-Canada Pipeline, and the Keystone, TC Energy is now called Excel Pipeline, giving it the nod to go through because, it's got a lot of union jobs and the union supported him. A Biden administration could be a pleasant surprise for Canadian oil and gas stocks. We will have to see. It was interesting. You can go on CanadianInsider.com. There was on Election Day, on November 3rd, there was some insider buying at TC Energy. You can go look at that. And I'm not making a recommendation on that. In fact, I believe that in the last time I checked, we had a mixed outlook on the stock, but it was interesting that on Election Day there was some insider buying at TC Energy. So, let's see what happens here on the COVID-19 front, and also on the White House side. I wouldn't get too discouraged if you're an energy investor if it is a Joe Biden White House, despite the narrative. But I would keep an eye on that October low. If energy breaks that October low, then it could be some tough slogging here until then we'd have to probably wait till the new year to try and go through those seasonal low patterns and then see if energy can start again in 2021. So let's see if it can hold that October low and march higher, and that would be a good signal all around. I think not only for the oil and gas investors, but also be signaling that maybe better times are ahead in 2021 for the economy and hopefully mobility, and we'll all be out doing things a bit more.
Ted, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me back.
My guest has been Ted Dixon, CEO and co-founder of IncResearch.ca, his website, CanadianInsider.com. If you have any questions for Ted or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.